Hi.
Is it live?
Now it's live.
Hi. Oh my gosh.
We're having some technical difficulties. Okay, now again, my name is Lorelei Hewitt, and I'm here musing as a modern mystic with my friend Meredith Froemke. And we are here today to talk about the astrology of the eclipse. Mm-hmm. Is Mercury still retrograde?
Well,
because I'm having technical difficulties just getting this thing started.
As always, right? But
yeah.
It is in its shadow. I mean, it ended yesterday, but we're still feeling it. My phone, oh good, somebody's joined us. My phone stopped working. My headset stopped working. It's a mess.
Just a quick little aside about that. We're getting some really impactful solar flares and coronal mass ejections from the sun. We're going to be hit by one tomorrow, I think, or the next day.
Wow.
And we may find some minor outages from that, like on radio waves and things like that. You will hear.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that kind of thing always throws a kink, I think, into the astrological projections.
Right.
Just as a little note.
We're having glitches.
Yeah, we're having glitches, and so, we were glitching. But speaking of glitches, this might even be a part of the bigger topic that I wanted to talk to you about today, which is the eclipse, the eclipse energy. It is amazing how much destruction is happening in the wake of this eclipse.
Right.
It is so unexpected.
Yes.
And we were talking about this before the show, Meredith. This is something I don't understand, and I'd like you to help me and everybody else understand. Why is this solar eclipse different than the others? Why is this so intense?
Right.
I mean, we have them twice a year. There are solar eclipses that happen twice a year, not in the way we see them here. Sometimes they're over Antarctica, and they're just partial. And we have a couple, 2 or 3 lunar eclipses every year, but this one, I understand it went over the United States. It was almost like it was some sort of astrological magic that went, this guy went, okay, United States, here you go. You're going to get a dose of this Leo eclipse energy.
Right. Well, what I can say about 5 things on that, and I'll go kind of briefly.
Okay.
And I won't go too deep. But if you have any eclipse questions, or if you want to talk about your own experience, your own eclipse experiences, please feel free to just write everything in the comments. And thank you so much for being here. But one of the reasons why this eclipse was just electrifying and actually, quite frankly, shocking, is because it's lined up with like 5 important energies, body of energies. So, of course, we have the sun and the moon in Leo, and that's already very, very, very intense. Then we have it in perfect, and I mean perfect, precise planetary positioning of Uranus, which is the bolt of lightning. And it's electrifying, and it is shocking, and it is unpredictable, and it comes, boom, out of the blue. And it is in exact trine. The sun was at 28 degrees, and Uranus was at 28 degrees. Aries and Leo. Okay. And so those were in total alignment. Now Mars was also right there next to the moon, the god of war. Oh. And it's in fire. This is all in fire. Okay. So think about fire right now, okay? The fire energy. Okay. Then there's another thing, 2 more things. One is it's on the nodal axis. And the nodal axis with Leo North Node, South Node in Aquarius, right there on the sun and the moon, with Mars there, and it's on the most royal and kind of narcissistic, if you will. That might be a little bit of a stretch, but it's a very regal, royal, and kind of arrogant star called Regulus. And that is so important, and a lot of people don't know about this particular star, Regulus, but you can go read about it metaphorically. But it is the center jewel in the king's crown. And so that's being hit. That's being knocked off. Oh, there we are.
There we are.
We're having glitches because we're in Mercury retrograde's shadow, and it just wants to play with us. So we did bring our sense of humor, by the way. Anyways, most eclipses just have that sun and moon and the nodal axis, but they don't have that Uranus aspect. And they don't have the Regulus aspect, and they don't have Mars, the god of war, pounding down on it. So this is really interesting. What you see happening out there in the world is also happening internally. So something inside of you wants to be gone or destroyed or let go. Sometimes we have our finger on the pulse of what it is, and sometimes it just happens to us.
Yes.
And so what we're seeing with these massive forest fires, we're in Seattle, and
it's been raining ash.
Raining
which is
ash.
Weird for us. We have really clean, clear air and water here.
Pure,
it's one
beautiful.
of the things I love about where we
too.
live. But it has not been like that lately.
It's like I'm a chain smoker.
Yeah.
You cannot go outside. I didn't want
It's really
my
awful.
daughter to ride her bike down the hill because we're surrounded by forest fires. And in LA, it's the largest forest fire they've ever had or something.
And then in the south, where you think of the fiery hot sun, instead there's another element washing ashore, banging the United States over and over again.
Right, and if you think about this, the nodal axis is Aquarius, what we're supposed to leave behind, what is trying to be let go of, and stepping into Leo energy, the North Node. And that is the vessel of passionate love, having a love affair, falling in love with yourself, with life, with a hobby, with humanity. Because this is on a global perspective that I'm talking about right at this particular minute. And look at these hurricanes. What are they? Wind.
And
wind and water. But
yeah.
the wind piece, and that's Aquarius energy. Everybody thinks that Aquarius is water. It's not. It's air. And so it's the massive windstorms that are really having Florida and the British Virgin Islands, which in a way is still kind of America's eclipse because they are our BFFs.
Well, they are our they are part of the United States.
Yes,
they're
they
just
are.
Not a state.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to say is we haven't had an eclipse like this, this much of an American impact. I would say this is an American eclipse for 99 years.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was really cool. And the thing I have to say about what happens when there is something that needs to be released and let go of, it's sort of like when there's an emotion inside our body, and we can feel it welling up. I'm going through menopause, so I know that feeling. Like every now and then I get this like, okay, I'm feeling the volcano is going to erupt kind of thing. And I know that I have two options. Okay, one is I can sit and I can productively release the energy. I go to the gym, I go to the sauna, and I run and I work out as much as I can to release it intentionally and with compassion in mind. And then what I also do is anything that is bothering me, I talk about it.
Oh.
Okay, so that is something that can be done in a positive way. But if that doesn't occur, the energy still must be released.
Right.
And it will come out in any which way it wants to.
Right.
If we don't focus, if we don't do it intentionally, if we don't ride that and understand that and know it must be done, it will be done for us. It just happens. It's like the vessel that we are, the vessel of our world is just, it's too full. And it's just going to happen.
Also, think about where your personal, that's great if you're that evolved and if you can be out in front of your own crises and if you can self-manage inside panic, anxiety, and depression. A lot of people can't, just to be honest.
Yeah.
And think about where, okay, so we've got the world, and let's just talk about the U.S. right now with the hurricanes and the forest fires, and God bless Houston with Harvey. I'm praying for Miami and all of Florida, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. And
the Bahamas and the Virgin Islands. But and no but, and period. But the thing that I want to say is in your own personal life, how does this affect you? Think about the weakest link in your armor. Think of your Achilles heel, metaphorically. Where is the weakest element of your life? If your life was a house of cards and we were setting up a fan, which card would blow over the quickest, the fastest, and the easiest?
Yeah.
That's where the eclipse will affect you. And if you can be honest about where your weakness is, logistically, emotionally, mentally, financially, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You can be honest, then you can manage it like Lorelei was talking about it energetically. Some people don't know, and you could be completely personally unscathed by this eclipse, but the energy does last for 3 years.
Also, though, even if you personally are not scathed by this, someone you love probably is. And
you mean not affected?
Yeah. Well, isn't that the... Can you be scathed? Unscathed.
We help each other out a little bit.
Scathed is a word, isn't it?
You've been scathed? I don't know. Do we have any English grammar?
Somebody want to Google that for me? Anyway, so is that a scathing remark? Is that... I don't know. Anyway,
if it hasn't impacted you,
it will have impacted somebody that you care about, very likely. And when the people that we love are affected by something, it can affect us in that way as well. Just like the southern part of our tribe, the United States. I consider the United States my tribe.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that are suffering. And I think about the comment for those people. Because you're right, you don't have a choice about that kind of thing. When something like that hits you, it's not like you can go to the gym and run that off. It's just, it's going to hit you. But you can evacuate.
But you can do self-care.
Yes, you can do self-care.
And you can breathe through it, and you can know that this is passing. And let's talk about the point of the destruction. Or the tear down, or the dissolution, or the devastation, or the sadness, or whatever you are being asked. See, you're being asked to let something go. You're being asked to allow something to be destroyed.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a painful thought, but it's in order for something else to eclipse the negativity, if you will, take over and plant itself in your life. And you might not know what that piece is yet. But I bet you that piece has Leo energy in it, which is love and passion and performance and living large and finding a stage and finding joy and playfulness and connecting deeply into those things and people that you truly love and value so deeply, because Leo cannot sell out.
Yeah.
If it sells out, it wounds itself so deeply.
Yeah, that's true.
So, where... So the point is to have something in your life, the weak link that is not serving you anymore.
Right. Sometimes that's our stuff.
That's our stuff. Yeah.
And sometimes what we find is that we have put our stuff in as a higher value above family or friends or anything like that. And so sometimes
it's a resorting of your value system.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's so good, Lorelei. That's so good, because that can be painful.
Oh gosh, that would be hard. Yeah. We become our house. How many of you have dreamt that you're in a house and it has all the significance? Our subconscious even sees our bodies as a house.
Yeah.
And when our stuff is
threatened,
compromised, it is like a big part of us was ripped away. I do have to say something for the people that may be watching this. I really have a strong belief in prayer and affirmations.
Yeah, me too.
And I have seen some really amazing and remarkable things happen, especially with high winds, with tornadoes that get whipped up during hurricanes, and you can have one house that is demolished and another house that is not demolished. I have also seen And this is a trippy video. I don't even know if this might have been a Photoshop thing. I don't know, but it was a church, and in the church they're having a service and they're videotaping it. This tornado is coming at them, so they all stand up and they put their hands up to it and they start praying to Jesus to please move the tornado, and it changed direction.
Right.
So.
And also, I believe Buddha can do the same thing.
Buddha or
Allah,
yes,
and Muhammad.
Yes,
just as an insert.
Right. But there's something magical about our intention when it's strong. So, if nothing else, you may want to just ask the angels or the protecting spirits that you believe in to watch over your house while you're not there. To just keep that in mind, and that all of your stuff is safe and that it is being protected.
And also, if your home literally isn't your plight, but let's say it's a physical ailment, or I deal with clients that have so many tragedies, it's really quite sad, if your father's in the hospital, or your mother went to ER, or your child, or whatever that is. I do find that prayer also works very deeply.
It really does. There's a lot of research on it even. So don't underestimate that. And
there's also another way that you could look at it is Spirit is really sometimes asking us to reformulate our value system, like you said.
Yeah.
And so here's a quick example. So I have a dear friend and client that lives in Florida, in Irma's pathway. And thank God he's getting out on a flight on Friday. But he knows he's going to lose his house. And he probably is. And he had such wisdom in this. Now, he is a little bit older, so he has really developed wisdom over the years. And he has a gorgeous home, by the way. And he said to me, but Meredith, it's just a house.
Yeah.
And I said, gosh, I have 5 other clients, and they don't want to leave their homes because they're really attached, and I understand. But he said, it is just a home. It will be okay, because I was devastated, because his home is so beautiful. Anyways, it reminded me to coach and teach from that perspective, where it is just a thing.
Right.
And I loved that. I absolutely loved that. And I love when the client puts me into a deeper perspective.
Yes. Because it is easier to say that when we're not the ones losing the house. I mean,
that's his home, and he's leaving.
But for him to say it, it is his home.
He's leaving his home on Friday to plan to never return to it, and it is beyond gorgeous, and it has unbelievable Chinese doors imported and beautiful paintings, and it's like the Dalai Lama's home. It's so gorgeous.
And that is the thing about releasing things and letting go of stuff.
Yeah, so the point of that was sometimes just the surrender, like, okay, Spirit, take this from me, or okay, God, or whatever your belief system is, okay, world, take this from me, and I will prevail. Like, this is a time to really believe in yourself. So whatever your personal eclipse is, and I'm talking about Irma, but really it's a metaphor for this thing that's happening inside. And I personally have had my own version of the eclipse, and I've surrendered and empowered myself to rise above. So there's a surrender and a release, like, okay, I'm listening, I'll pay attention, and I don't like it at all. I have a little bit of rebellion in me. But then it came to the point where it's like, I'm listening, and now I will take action, and I will empower myself to embrace these changes, even though I don't want to, and I will lean into them. And all of a sudden, 45 days later, I'm seeing the light. And the eclipse, whatever has happened to you in that August energy, whatever downfall or tear down or death or destruction or feeling of hopelessness or your weak link, your Achilles heel, this the rebuild process is in effect for 3 years, for 3 full years. So whatever happened around the time of the eclipse, by the way, it's not clockwork. Somebody had a baby in late July, and that was her eclipse. It was a miracle child, and that was truly her eclipse. But that was late July, and so the baby was not even a month old by the time the eclipse came. the baby didn't want to be born on the eclipse. And if your child was born on the eclipse, whoa, that's another topic.
Is it?
But
just really fast. Is it really bad or really good? Or both? Or what?
It's intense. It's somebody who comes with that kind of power. So it could be a rainmaker.
Oh.
Literally a rainmaker.
Okay.
If you're born on the eclipse, what do you want to do with that amount of power?
Wow.
Do you want to be the next, I don't know, most impactful person on the planet? You know?
Wow.
Or do you want to create total destruction? Because you're like a stick of dynamite if you're born on the eclipse. And a stick of dynamite can be a good thing. We need sticks of dynamite, you know, for the tear down process.
To make railroads, to make new roads, for new things to be created.
Create a tunnel.
All energy is appropriate if it is directed in an appropriate way. Even a nuclear blast is appropriate on the face of the sun. We need nuclear reaction to take place on the sun for us to be able to live. So it's just a matter of taking all of this, take all of the nuances of energy and understand what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are within you,
and
too.
to use them for a higher purpose. What's hard about that sometimes, Lorelei, is like in this eclipse, it's not nuanced, right? It's in our faces. It is
true.
So big that we can't see through it. And it's not nuanced, so it's not like sit around and reflect. It's like, how do I deal with this? How do I deal with Houston? How do I deal with, you know, your personal Houston as well? Yeah. And so sometimes the energy isn't nuanced, so we can't grab onto it. But that's where I say maybe surrender comes in. If you can't understand it, you surrender to find empowerment. To then rise above it and to summons your energy and know that it's not permanent.
One of the things about people, maybe we talked about this before, but everybody's greatest strength is also their greatest weakness.
Yes.
And the thing that we value the most sometimes is the thing that will get destroyed. Maybe it's a marriage, maybe an illness arises, maybe it is your stuff.
Maybe it's your flat-out personality. Fabulous personality just does you in one day.
In other words, you said something you shouldn't have. Is that what you're...
Or like Bill Maher. You know, his gift is his Achilles. His outspokenness, people like, and they hate, you know.
Yes, it is. But it is always their greatest strength, too. Somebody is stubborn or they're strong-willed. It's two sides of the same coin. So if you find that something really challenging has happened to you, I think it might be a really good idea to get some help with that perspective. Because sometimes, you know, we can't see what we need to see when we're in a place of suffering. It's really hard.
But I like this because there's a clue that Lorelei just gave.
Oh, good.
So the clue is if you're having a negative experience and it is in the weakest, like I suggested, it's in your Achilles heel or in the weakest element of yourself, there's probably, on the flip side of that, a strength of yours that you can lean into.
Yes.
And that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to articulate, but you did it more succinctly. Thank you. And
we're good for each other.
Well, yes. And, you know, you are the astrologer. You're good at, like, taking all of this stuff and going, oh, yeah, da. I'm a healer. I go, okay. Just let it go. Get rid of it.
But if you're a Leo or an Aquarius, you're right on this axis. And if you are a Leo, there's something about your identity or the way that you approach life that really is asking to be changed. So, for example, like, what do we really identify with? Sometimes it's work, sometimes it's our children. As a Leo, what do you really identify with? Sometimes it's your body, sometimes it's your home, sometimes it's that you want to be free or uncommitted.
Well,
so this could be challenged in your life.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I know you and I both share Leo rising, right?
So that's big.
Yeah. So I guess for people that have, say, Leo rising, maybe it is showing up in work, like in this kind of format. That might be...
well, usually with Leo rising, that sits on the first house, and that is usually the physical body.
Oh.
And you said you're going through an identity change. We don't have to talk about it.
I don't mind, but it helps me to be really... I like to be real with myself.
Yeah.
Real with who I am.
Yeah.
And really honest about things like that. And so, And so this is where you're the astrologer.
It can feel shocking. And then I've had my own physicality threatened as well. And during this eclipse, I was forced, basically, against my will, if you will, to become and embrace being a vegan.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that.
For health reasons.
Yeah.
And I've really seen absolutely unbelievable results for myself.
And that is a beautiful case of you intentionally directing the sacrifice, right? Otherwise, if you
it is a sacrifice. Can we talk about cheese? Can our next video please be all about cheese?
There are vegan cheeses. I know that they're not as good, but yes. But if you hadn't done that, there would have been a bigger sacrifice that you would have been forced to make, perhaps with your physical body. But because you're willing to direct the change, it is it's different. It's within your control, and that is a great example of, I think, how you can use the energy of the eclipse.
It's really true, and the success that I have found from the China study has been mind-blowing. I went in very cynical and kind of caustic and upset and angry and why do I have to do this and I don't want to. And then I did the surrender and I embraced it and I've changed my life at the core level. I did it for health reasons and now ethics have seeped in and it has completely changed my life and I just sold my leather couch.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't even want to sit on it. Isn't it funny?
Wow. Okay,
so
what about the shoes and the purse?
Well, one thing at a time, baby steps, right? God, is there any vegan support on here? Do you all eat cheese without me?
We're getting close to the 30-minute mark.
So let's invite people to talk about what their eclipse energy is and what changes are being made in your life. And if you are a Leo, it's a pretty big deal. Also, if you're an Aquarius, it's a pretty big deal because it's affecting your identity. And if you're a Leo rising, that's going to affect your physical body. We don't have time to go through all the signs, but it's just absolutely fascinating. And if you're an Aries, it's also a really big deal because remember, that's where that Uranus, that shock and awe planet is. So pretty big for fire signs. And you're seeing with the forest fires that this has been a very fiery eclipse.
So if you want to know more about how the eclipse affected you personally, just contact Meredith astrologically. And if you need help healing from it, you can contact me.
Lorelei's amazing. She's a shaman. She doesn't talk enough about herself. We'll do that in the next video. Well, I love doing these with you.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. So anyway, everyone, have an amazing day, an amazing week, and may the storms of the eclipse, whether they be inside of you or outside of you, be something that you can weather easily.